Good morning, good morning! This is the last video in this series of rules of life. I'm sure I'll reference back to them in the future anyway, but I just want, I wanted to wrap this series up and start. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm thinking, because I am going on a journey. If you haven't watched all my videos, then I did event management, nightclub promotion, run my own brand, my own event for about 3 or 4 years, quite successfully. I quit my job because I was able to do it, so I was living the dream. But I was young and naive, and alcohol, booze and substances got in the way of that. So that put a park on that. That parked that for, that was like 2007-ish, I think, when I was doing that. So yeah, you can see how long it's been, 13 years, over 10 years since I've done it. I've done the odd event here and there, but nothing really major. I used to DJ every week, you know what I mean? I ran my own studio. So I was there every day. I was literally like living the dream. But as I said, I was young and naive. Now I'm a bit more grown up. I don't drink. I keep myself fit. I've got my head screwed on. I've got a family. I'm looking after myself. So yeah, I think it's time for me to get back into it. And I think this lockdown has been the perfect chance to get back out there when it all kicks off again. So these videos are going to be more about that journey, things I've learned as well. I'm still learning in music production. Bloody hell, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Obviously, I'm still making the best stuff that I've ever made, but I still feel nowhere near where I want to be. I'm just so critical of myself, it's unreal. So there's definitely a journey here, and as you've noticed, I can rant, I can talk about shit as well. So I'm going to use this as a platform just to have a rant, and if anyone's interested in it, then nice, you know what I mean? I am looking for people to get involved with putting out on an event. I'm saving up the money now. I've got a venue in mind. I've put my budget together. I've got a theme. I've got the logo. You know what I mean? It's all there. It's there to go for. I've just got to push forward with it. So I'm looking for people to get involved, basically. So if anyone watches this and they want to get involved, it's house and techno. We'll see how it pans out, but there we go. So what I'm going to talk about today is my last rule, and it's the most important rule. One of the most important rules. They're all important. It's rule number 13: take ownership. And what I mean by that, there's a book by Jocko Willink. You've heard me reference him a few times. It's called Extreme Ownership. I advise you go and read it, or listen to the audio book, or watch a summary about it, and you'll get the gist of what it's about. Extreme ownership. So what he says is everything is in your control, and it's a very it's a hard concept to get your head around, because he says with every success, obviously, you own it, but with every failure you own, even if someone else has in your eyes caused the failure, it's still your fault. And that's what extreme ownership is. And as I said, it's a really hard concept. And I'm going to use the analogy of my work because ultimately it's a good way for me to explain this. I could talk about what happened to me yesterday, really, but to explain this well. So on site at the minute, we're pouring the foundations for the new building to go on. We couldn't do it last week because of the snow. We planned it to happen yesterday because we saw the lift in temperature, and there was nothing we could actually do about that. There was nothing we could do to get that done. It was literally the weather just stopped us, but we made a plan to get around to do it as soon as we could. So what we did, this is extreme ownership. At first we was going to do it in 3 phases, but because of the weather we didn't. So we carried on and we set the whole area in one, and we were pouring it in one hit. So that was us taking ownership of it and getting it done on time. So yesterday the concrete pump turns up, and there's no you have to have approval from a designer that this concrete pump can sit on an area, a piece of land, because the things underneath it, it might be too heavy and it might collapse through. That's the principle. So they say that they give you like, when he comes, he has to have these things called spreader mats, and that spread his load, and that spread his load all over the surface. And he didn't have the correct ones, and they're saying, oh yeah, but they was trying to like justify it and say, but we can do this and we can do that. And I'm like, listen, I'm no designer, I can't sign it off. You need to satisfy him. So anyway, we didn't end up starting until about 1 o'clock. We wanted to start at 8 o'clock. So gets to 4:30 when we're supposed to be leaving. Can we stay till 5? The last concrete wagon's going to get here at 5. And I was pissed off, obviously. I wanted to go home. But it's my job. And when all's said and done, it's my responsibility. So I stayed with them, and I didn't leave until 7:45 last night. That's how long it took. So obviously I wasn't very happy. But I took ownership. I took extreme ownership. Not my fault, I could say. But we got it sorted. I made sure I was there to get it sorted because it's my job. I took ownership, and it's easy to blame, isn't it? I could have easily gone, no, I'm going at 4:30, and you carry on doing it tomorrow. It's not my fault that he didn't bring the right stuff, because what Jocko's saying is, as a leader, it is my duty, it is my fault, and things I could have done better I could have, obviously with knowledge comes power. I could have said, like in the future now, I could say, can you make sure he's definitely got the right mats? You know what I mean? Double check that, but this comes with experience, doesn't it? So next time it'll be like, on a job before, we couldn't start because he didn't know the right mats. I won't give in. You're not going to be able to just do it how you want. It's got to be done right. And maybe I could have avoided it that way, because if I'd have said that the other day and said to him, just double check that he's got the right ones, because you'll delay yourself. You'd have made the phone call. Oh no, there was only going to bring these ones. Well, tell him to bring these ones, or get something else sorted. You know what I mean? Instead of rushing around on the day. So that's what the gist of extreme ownership is. It's like, if you've got people who are, you're in charge. If you're in charge of a group of people, if you're the leader of a team, and someone doesn't do something right, it's your fault. And why is that? Because you didn't explain it properly. Oh yeah, but I told them properly, but they didn't do it the way I told it. Yeah, but you should have monitored them, and you should have picked them up and drilled it into them. I'm not making myself clear. I'm going to explain it again. You need to do it this way. If they don't do it again, then it's your duty then to say, I will be letting you go off the team if you don't do it the way I'm asking you to do it. And then, you know what I mean, you've done everything in your power. And then if they still ain't towing the line, then you've got a duty to the team to get rid of that person and fill that gap with someone who can do it. This is what I'm saying. It's all about extreme ownership. That's a really harsh one, because I think I've only ever sacked a handful of people, probably count them on one hand, or when I've had to go to the extreme of letting them go. And that is just because I've gone through that process where I've tried to help them, you know what I mean, 2 or 3 times, and then they've ended up doing something stupid and getting caught by someone else, and I'm like, I've got to let you go. You're just causing me problems. You know what I mean? I'm investing a lot of time in people, but if they're not going to help themselves, unfortunately, especially in my game, it's very dangerous that the work that goes on in what we do. And if they don't kill themselves, they're going to kill someone else. But ultimately, I'm held responsible, and it'll be me going to court, it'll be me getting arrested, and I've got too much to lose now for that to happen. So this is the way I think, and people think that you might be in a bit of a job's worth and all that, but they just don't understand. And this is what, like, I used to get really fiery and angry with people, but they just haven't had the training that I've had. They don't understand the consequences of when things go wrong, and ultimately I've had it drilled into me that if I'm allowing stuff to happen, it's me that's at fault. So I have to be stern with people. I can't listen. At the end of the day, I use my common sense. Like with everything, I do make calls, but if I see something where, hang on, I need to sneeze. Excuse me. If I see something where I think they're going to end up for bloody killing themselves or killing someone else, I'll put a stop to it straight away, obviously. You know what I mean? If I see someone doing something daft, I won't make a big hoo-ha over it. Some people do. Some people are like, put your glasses on, put your gloves on. You know what I mean? Just because of what? Because it's the rules. Now, I'm not, you know, I shouldn't say this, but if someone hasn't got the gloves on and they're not going to end up chopping their hands off, I mean, or anything, or stabbing their hands or anything like that, you know, if I can see them doing something where they're going to cut the fingers or anything like that, I'm just thinking 5-page accident report form that I have to fill out. If he comes in with a bloody cut finger because he didn't have his gloves on, because I'll never say I never had my gloves on. Oh, it went through the glove. That's what they'll say. You know what I mean? So if they're doing something that involves gloves, put your gloves on. If they're doing something that involves something going in your eye, put your glasses on. If you're not doing that, then I need to say something, because you're going to hurt yourself. And if you hurt yourself, it causes me aggro. So that's why, ultimately, you know what I mean? Everyone says, oh, I ain't going to do that. But what do you think an accident is? You know what I mean? So I have to take ownership with that. I'm going on a right rant these days, aren't I? You can tell I've just been doing lots and lots of work. Worked the last 2 weekends. Worked late last night. I'm getting cranky. So, taking ownership, it's a really good one. It's so empowering to realise that everything is in your hands. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to do it for you. If you want to go and do something, get up off your lazy ass and go and get it done. And I know it's hard to get motivated sometimes, but even if taking the first step, writing it down, making a phone call, going and, like, if you want to move house, go and look at some houses and book it in, go and see it, make it tangible. You know what I mean? Give yourself something to visualise and to work towards. That's what I do. Always make the first step. Even if you're not gonna purchase the first property, you're taking tangible actions to go and get sorted. You want to get fit and healthy, and you can't even be asked to exercise. I'll tell you one thing that you can do that's really easy. Go through your cupboards and chuck away all the bad stuff, whether it's fresh, a full packet. Once I've ate this one, I won't buy another one attitude. Just chuck it away. That's signalling to yourself that you are committed. You want to stop smoking. Don't quit after your last pack. Pick up your pack, crunch it up in your hands, and throw it in the bin. Because that's when you know that you're ready. There's things that you can do to take ownership that doesn't involve you having to go whole hog and I need to spend all the money, get to the gym, buy all the clothing, and then you're still not doing it. Go and do 10 push-ups in your garage now, in your living room. You know what I mean? Do something that shows that you're committed to doing it. Take ownership. Don't use other people as excuses. If someone says to you, whose fault is it? It's your fault. It's your fault that job didn't get done. Even though your team let you down, it's your fault. Learn from your mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes. Don't let the same mistakes happen. If your team's letting you down, you need to sort your team out. Stop burying your head in the sand. Take ownership. I do get passionate about this, but I just see so many people that don't want to help themselves, and they're always moaning, saying that their circumstances stopping them from getting on. There's so many people out there in exactly the same shoes that have gone to achieve great things. That's another thing you can do. Watch inspirational videos about people. I've been watching all this thing about racism and that, and I you know what I mean, about systemic racism. And you know who I'll go and listen to? People like Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington. There's people like that out there that'll just say, you know what I mean, talking about race is causing it, so stop it. But I've got to go anyway, so till the next time, peace and love you lads, trot.